All right, let me lay it all out. Me, Liam, 29, and Chloe, 28F, have been together for 7 years. 7 years. We met in our last year of college, hit it off immediately, and have been pretty much inseparable ever since. We moved in together after 2 years, got a dog, Max, a lovable golden retriever who is currently my only source of sanity, built a life. We talked about marriage, kids, the whole 9 yards. Not in a pressure way, but in that comfortable, this is our future kind of way. Or so I thought. Chloe landed a new job about a year ago at a pretty big marketing firm. She was excited, better pay, more responsibility, a chance to really shine. I was super proud of her. The first few months were great. She was energized, happy, a little stressed with the learning curve, but in a good way. Then, about 6 months ago, things started to shift, subtly at first. She started working late more often, like 3 or 4 nights a week. Big project deadline crunch, she'd say, texting me around 9 or 10 p.m. that she was just leaving the office. I'd have dinner waiting, or save her some. I'm a software developer, and while my hours can be demanding, they're usually more predictable. I get it, new jobs can be intense. I didn't question it. Why would I? This was Chloe. My Chloe. She also became more attached to her phone. Always had it with her, screen down. If I walked into the room while she was texting, she'd quickly flip it over or close the app. Again, I tried not to be that guy. We trusted each other. Or again, so I thought. She said it was just work group chats, constant updates on the project, plausible. Our intimacy also took a nosedive. She was always too tired or too stressed. When we were intimate, it felt distant, mechanical. I brought it up gently a few times. Hey, everything okay? You seem really wiped out lately. She'd always brush it off. Just work, babe. It's killing me. It'll get better once this project is over. The project never seemed to end. The little red flags kept piling up, but I was willfully blind. I guess. She started having more work dinners or team building events on weekends. She'd come home smelling faintly of a perfume I didn't recognize. Not her usual scent. When I asked, she'd say, "Oh, Sarah from accounting wears that. It must have rubbed off when we hugged goodbye." She started being vague about who she was with. Oh, just the team. The first real gut punch came about a month ago. It was a Saturday, and she was supposedly at an all-day marketing seminar across town. I was doing some chores around the apartment. Her iPad was on the coffee table. We share it sometimes, mostly for streaming. A notification popped up in iMessage from someone named Mark H. The preview read, "Last night was amazing. Can't wait for our conference call next week. Thinking of you." My blood ran cold. Literally. I felt my stomach drop to my feet. Mark H. I knew that name. He was her work husband, the guy she always talked about. Oh, Mark is so funny. Mark helped me with that tricky presentation. Mark and I are leading this new campaign. I always thought it was just innocent office camaraderie. I even met him once at her company Christmas party. Seemed like an okay if slightly smarmy guy. My hands were shaking. I shouldn't have. I know I shouldn't have. But I tapped on the notification. And there it was. A whole stream of messages. Flirty, suggestive, intimate messages. Plans for secret meetups. Inside jokes that clearly weren't work-related. References to our spot and that little Italian place. There were pictures. Not explicit, thank God, but cozy. Selfies of them at bars looking way too comfortable. A picture of her hand with his thumb caressing hers. It was all dated over the last 4 to 5 months.
I felt like I was going to throw up.
This all-day marketing seminar. According to their texts, she was actually at a boutique hotel with him for a weekend getaway. The late nights at the office were often dinners with him. The team-building events were days. I sat there on the couch staring at the screen for what felt like hours. Max came and nudged my hand, whining, sensing something was wrong. I just hugged him, burying my face in his fur, trying not to completely lose it. When Chloe came home that evening, all smiles, talking about how boring the seminar was, I could barely look at her. I felt like a stranger was standing in my living room. I didn't confront her immediately. I know, I know, cowardly, maybe, but I was in shock, and I wanted to be sure. I wanted to see how deep this went. I spent the next few days in a daze acting normal while my insides were churning. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I did some more digging. Again, probably shouldn't have, but I was desperate. She had a second, private Instagram account I never knew about. It was mostly pictures of her and Mark, at restaurants, on hikes. One even looked like it was taken in our bed when I was away on a work trip a few months back. That one nearly broke me. They had a whole separate life. He had commented, "My beautiful girl 3" on one of her selfies. I also found a credit card statement for a card I didn't know she had, mailed to her office address. She'd been getting a lot of her mail sent there lately. Said it was more convenient. It was full of charges for hotels, fancy dinners, even a jewelry store purchase around Valentine's Day. I got a generic card and a "sorry I have to work late" text that day. The sheer scale of the deception is what's killing me. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a calculated, ongoing affair. A double life. For months. While looking me in the eye every day, telling me she loved me, talking about our future, I finally confronted her 3 nights ago. I couldn't take it anymore. I waited until after dinner. I calmly, on the outside anyway, said, "Chloe, we need to talk." She looked up from her phone, a little surprised by my tone. "Okay, what's up?" "I know about Mark," I said. The color drained from her face. For a split second, she looked terrified. Then, the shutters came down. "Mark? My coworker? What about him?" The denial. The classic first step. "Don't, Chloe," I said, my voice starting to shake. "Please don't lie to me anymore. I know everything. The messages, the pictures, the hotel stays, the late nights, the seminars." She just stared at me, her face a mask. "How could you?" I finally choked out, the anger and hurt bubbling over. 7 years, Chloe. How could you do this to us? To me? She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she sighed, a deep, world-weary sigh, as if I were inconveniencing her. "Liam, it's complicated," she said, finally. "Complicated?" I almost yelled. "Complicated is figuring out what to have for dinner. This is betrayal, Chloe. This is you ripping our life apart. It just happened," she mumbled, looking down at her hands. "Mark and we just connected. He, he understands me. He gets the pressure I'm under at work. And I don't," I shot back. "I've done nothing but support you. I celebrated your successes. I listened when you were stressed. Was that not enough?" She started to cry then. Crocodile tears. Real tears. I couldn't tell. "I didn't mean to hurt you, Liam. I never wanted that." "Then what did you want, Chloe?" I asked, my voice raw. "To have your cake and eat it too? To have a comfortable life with me and a passionate affair with him?" She flinched. "It wasn't supposed to go on this long. It was just an escape at first. Work was so intense, and you and we'd just fallen into a routine. It was boring.
Boring.
7 years of love, companionship, and shared dreams, dismissed as boring. That cut deeper than almost anything else. The argument went on for hours. She admitted to most of it, though she tried to downplay the emotional connection with Mark, calling it more physical, which frankly didn't make it any better. She begged me not to make any rash decisions. She said she was confused, that she still loved me, that maybe we could work through this. Work through this? How do you work through a 6-month affair and a complete fabrication of a double life? I told her I needed space. I packed a bag and went to stay at my friend Dave's place. Max is still at our apartment with her, which kills me, but I couldn't bring him to Dave's tiny bachelor pad.
It's been 3 days. I'm a wreck.
I can't eat. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see those texts, those pictures. I feel like such a fool, an idiot. How did I not see this? Were there signs I missed? Or was she just that good an actress? She's been texting me, calling me. Apologies, please to come home and talk. Promises that she'll end it with Mark, that she'll do anything to fix us. But can this even be fixed? Has anyone ever come back from a betrayal this deep, this calculated? Part of me, the stupid, sentimental part that still loves the Chloe I thought I knew, wants to believe her, but the rest of me, the angry, humiliated part, is screaming that this is unforgivable. So, Reddit, what do I do? Do I even try to talk to her more? Do I go full no contact? How do I even begin to untangle 7 years of a shared life when the foundation has crumbled into dust? Am I a complete idiot for even a tiny part of me wanting to salvage this? Or am I right to think this is the end of the road? I'm just broken. Any advice, any perspective would be so appreciated. I feel like I'm drowning. Update. First off, thank you, Reddit. Seriously, the sheer volume of responses, the DMs, the advice, both gentle and brutally honest, it's been overwhelming in the best way possible. It made me feel less like I was going crazy and more like my feelings of anger and betrayal were completely justified. A lot of you said to stay strong, not to get sucked back in by her pleas, and to get all the facts. And boy, did I get more facts. So, after I posted last week, I was still at my friend Dave's. Chloe was relentless with the texts and calls. I miss you. I made a terrible mistake. Please come home so we can talk properly. I've already told Mark it's over. Yeah, right. I mostly ignored them or gave very brief, non-committal replies. I told her I needed time and space and that she needed to respect that. A few of you suggested I should get my stuff and Max out of the apartment sooner rather than later, especially if I was leaning towards ending things for good. That seemed like sound advice. I also needed to talk to Chloe face to face one more time, not to reconcile, but to get closure and to understand the full scope of what she'd done. I felt like I owed it to myself, to the 7 years I'd invested. So 2 days ago, I arranged to go back to the apartment to talk and to start packing some of my essential things. I asked Dave to come with me, partly for moral support and partly as a neutral third party, if things got heated. Chloe was there, of course. She'd clearly been crying. The apartment was spotless. My favorite meal was cooking on the stove. The whole "look how sorry I am, look what you're missing" production. It just made me feel tired. We sat down at the kitchen table. Dave stayed in the living room, giving us privacy but within earshot. Liam, I am so sorry, she began, tears welling up again. There's no excuse for what I did. I was selfish, I was stupid, and I threw away the best thing in my life. I've ended it with Mark, completely. I've blocked him on everything. I'll do anything, therapy, counseling, whatever it takes to earn back your trust. I listened, calmly. The initial shock and rage had subsided into a cold, hard knot of pain in my chest. Chloe, I said, my voice flat, I appreciate the apology, but I need to understand why and how long, really. She hesitated. I told you it was about 4 or 5 months. No, I cut her off. Don't lie to me again, Chloe. I deserve the complete truth now. When did it really start with Mark? She looked down, fiddling with a napkin. Okay, it started a bit earlier than that, more like 8 or 9 months ago. But it wasn't physical then. It was just flirting, an emotional connection. The physical part only started about 5 months ago. I swear. 8 or 9 months, almost as soon as she started the new job. So, for the majority of her time at this dream job, she'd been cultivating an emotional affair that then turned physical. The perfume I didn't recognize, the late nights, the distance, it all started much earlier than I even realized from the texts. And the private Instagram? I asked. The credit card in your office's name? The weekends away you told me were work conferences. She nodded miserably to each one. I know it looks bad, Liam. Looks bad? I laughed, a harsh, humorless sound. Chloe, it is bad. It's a complete betrayal. You didn't just sleep with someone else, you built an entirely separate relationship, a separate life, while leading me to believe everything was fine between us. Then came the part that really truly cemented that there was no going back for me. Was Mark the only one? I asked, the question hanging heavy in the air. I don't know why I asked. Maybe some masochistic need to know the full extent of the damage. She looked horrified. Liam, of course. How could you even ask that? But there was a flicker in her eyes. Something she was holding back. Chloe, I said, my voice dangerously quiet. The truth. She burst into tears then, proper, racking sobs. There was someone else. Before Mark, briefly, about a year and a half ago. It was a mistake. It only happened a couple of times. It meant nothing. That's why I didn't tell you. It was so long ago, and it had nothing to do with Mark. A year and a half ago. So this wasn't her first rodeo. This behavior, this capacity for deception. It wasn't new. Mark wasn't an anomaly. He was part of a pattern. I just stared at her. I felt numb, like I'd been punched in the gut so hard all the air had left my body. So, our entire relationship, especially the last 2 years, I said slowly, has been punctuated by your mistakes? She couldn't meet my eyes. I was unhappy. Liam, I felt like you didn't see me anymore. We were just going through the motions. The blame shift. Of course, if you were unhappy, Chloe, I said. My voice like ice. The adult thing to do would have been to talk to me, to tell me, to try and fix it, or to end it cleanly. Not to cheat, not to lie, not repeatedly. Dave, sensing things were deteriorating, came into the kitchen then. Everything okay in here? He asked gently. Yeah, Dave, I said, standing up. We're done here. I'm just gonna pack a few more things, and then Max and I are leaving. Chloe looked up, her face streaked with tears. Liam, please. Don't do this. We can fix this. I know we can. No, Chloe, I said, feeling a strange sense of finality, of clarity. We can't. You broke this. And you broke it a long time ago, apparently. There's nothing left to fix. I went into the bedroom and started packing a suitcase with more of my clothes, toiletries, important documents. Chloe followed me, pleading, crying, making promises. I ignored her. Dave helped me carry my stuff out to his car. The hardest part was getting Max. He was confused, whining, looking between me and Chloe. I knelt down, hugged him tight, and clipped on his leash. Come on, buddy, I whispered. We're going. The look on Chloe's face as I walked out the door with Max, it was a mixture of despair and shock. Like she genuinely couldn't believe this was happening. So, I'm now officially moved out. Max is with me at Dave's. Dave is a saint and is letting Max sleep on his bed. I've started looking for my own apartment. The emotional roller coaster is intense. One minute I'm furious. The next I'm just incredibly sad for the life I thought I had, the future I thought we were building. Chloe is still texting, but less frequently now, more mournful. I'll always love you type messages. I haven't responded to the latest ones. I feel like I've aged 10 years in the last week. But amidst the pain, there's also a tiny sliver of relief, like a weight I didn't even realize I was carrying has been lifted. The constant wondering, the vague sense of unease I'd been feeling for months, it all makes sense now. I know I have a long road ahead. Healing from this isn't going to be quick or easy, but for the first time since I saw that iMessage pop up, I feel like I can breathe again, even if it's a shaky, painful breath. What now, Reddit? How do people even start to rebuild after something like this? The thought of dating again makes me feel physically ill. How do you trust anyone again? Update. Hey Reddit. It's Liam again. It's been a couple of months since my last update, and a lifetime since this whole nightmare began. So many of you reached out with support, shared your own stories of heartbreak and recovery, and honestly, it's been a huge part of my healing process. Knowing I wasn't alone, that other people had navigated this kind of betrayal and come out the other side, gave me a lot of hope. So where am I now? Well, for starters, I have my own apartment. It's smaller than the place Chloe and I shared, but it's mine. Max has settled in wonderfully. He has a new favorite spot by the window where he can watch squirrels. Setting up this new place, piece by piece, has been surprisingly therapeutic. It's a blank slate, a space that's just for me and Max, of course. No ghosts of a shared past, no lingering scent of her perfume. Chloe? Well, Chloe eventually stopped the daily texts. After I moved out with Max and made it clear there was no chance of reconciliation, her messages became sporadic. There was one long email about a month ago full of more apologies, regrets, and how she was working on herself and realizing her mistakes. She said Mark was completely out of the picture. I have no idea if that's true, and frankly, I don't care. She wished me happiness. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. Forgiveness might come someday. For my own peace of mind, but reconciliation? Never. Trust, once shattered to that extent, can't just be glued back together. Too many pieces are missing. The practical side of separating our lives was messy. As expected, we had to divide up 7 years of accumulated stuff: furniture, books, kitchen gadgets. We did most of it through email or very brief, transactional phone calls. It was painful, like picking at a wound, but necessary. We sold the apartment we shared. It was jointly owned, and split the proceeds. That felt like the final severing of our old life. The emotional healing is a process. There are good days and bad days. Some days I wake up feeling strong, optimistic, even excited about the future. Other days the grief hits me like a wave, not so much for Chloe herself anymore, but for the future I thought I was going to have, the dreams we built that turned out to be made of sand. I still have moments of anger, of wondering how I could have been so blind, but those moments are getting fewer and farther between. A lot of you recommended therapy, and I took that advice. I've been seeing a therapist for about 6 weeks now, and it's been incredibly helpful. Just having a safe space to talk through everything, to understand the dynamics of what happened without judgment, has been invaluable. We've talked about rebuilding self-esteem, learning to trust my own judgment again, and identifying red flags in the future, though hopefully I won't need that skill for a long, long time. My friends have been absolute legends. Dave especially. He let me crash at his place for weeks, listened to me rant and cry, and never once made me feel like a burden. My other friends have rallied around too, making sure I'm not isolating myself, dragging me out for hikes, movies, or just a beer and a chat. Max has also been the world's best therapist, always there with a wagging tail and a furry head to pat. Have I thought about dating again? Honestly, no. The idea still feels exhausting and scary. Right now, I'm focusing on myself, reconnecting with hobbies I'd let slide, spending time with people who genuinely care about me, and just learning to be okay on my own again. I'm rediscovering who Liam is, independent of Liam and Chloe. And you know what? He's a pretty decent guy. I learned a lot from this whole ordeal. I learned that sometimes the people you think you know best can surprise you in the worst ways. I learned that trust is fragile and incredibly precious. I learned that boring is sometimes just comfortable and stable, and that chasing constant excitement can lead to wrecking good things. Most importantly, I learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I survived something that felt unsurvivable, and I'm slowly, surely building a new life from the wreckage. There's no neat bow to tie on this story. It's messy, it's painful, and it's changed me. But it's also a story of resilience, I think, or at least I hope it will be. To anyone out there going through something similar, you are not alone. It hurts like hell, but it will get better. Lean on your support systems, be kind to yourself, and take it one day at a time. You deserve honesty, respect, and a love that doesn't require you to constantly look over your shoulder. Thank you, Reddit, for being a beacon in a very dark storm. I'm going to log off now and take Max for a long walk in the park. The sun is shining, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can actually enjoy it.